Okay, number 18. d dx of the integral from x to 0 of du 1 plus u squared equals what? Okay, well, now we have this thing here where if I have d dx of the integral f of t dt from 0 to x, remember what we figured out is that just ends up as f of x, right? Well, the reason why is this. Well, let's take a derivative of 0 to x of t dt. Well, that is just going to be the integral of t dt is 1/2 t squared minus plugging in 0, right? So just minus, I apologize. Then I would evaluate this from 0 to x and then take the derivative d dx of the whole thing. So evaluating it this from 0 to x, I get d dx of 1/2 x squared minus 1/2 of 0 squared, that's just 0. The derivative of this with respect to x is just 2x times 1/2, so it just becomes x, which is the same thing as if I just taken this and plugged in x, okay? But now, what about if I take this and I say derivative d dx from x to 0 of t dt? Well, I'm going to end up clearly with the same thing, except it's going to be d dx of, instead of going from 0 to x, I'll go 1/2 t squared from x to 0. Well, that is going to be the derivative d dx of, I plug in 0 first, I get 1/2 0 squared, that's just 0, minus 1/2 x squared, right? Well, the derivative of this is just negative, the 2 comes down, so it becomes negative x, which would be the same thing if I just plugged in x, but then since I'm going from x to 0, I make it negative. Okay, so the rule here is if I'm going from 0 to x, it's just the same thing as plugging in x. And if I'm going from x to any constant really at all, the derivative of that, I just make it negative. So from 0 to x, or any constant to x, I just make it x. I just plug in x. From x to 0, I plug in x, but then make it negative. So that's the only difference, is I just make it negative. Okay? So that's just to explain what I'm doing here. Now, back to our original question, d dx of x is 0 du plus 1 over 1 plus u squared. Well, to make this easier to look at, this is the same as x is 0 of 1 over 1 plus u squared du. They put u's there, and it may be confusing because it makes you think you got to do all u substitution and do all this kind of stuff, but you really don't. You just plug in x and then make it negative. So it becomes 1 over 1 plus x squared, but you make it negative. Okay, and that's really it. That's really it. So it ends up as negative 1 over x squared plus 1, which is the answer. They just put the x squared in front of the 1. Same deal, same answer. That's it. B. Hope you understood. See you in the next video.